So, uh, so you are a team builder, right?
Yeah.
So now, what is your process of designing? Like, if you get a task, you get a
Mm-hmm.
problem statement,
Mm-hmm.
and what is the next step you take? And I know design is a continuous process,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
goes on forever, and
Mm-hmm.
as long as you are involved in it. So,
Mm-hmm.
but what is the process
Mm-hmm.
till the point you can explain to me?
Sure. So it depends. So in MagicBricks, the process is something else. If you go into the consulting, the process is something else. I'll take MagicBricks because I am part of it now, so there is no point commenting the other companies. So what we do is we define okay what needs to be developed for the entire year, keeping our business goal aligned, and then we also keep the quarter wise product development cycle. So if it's April, May, June, quarter one, there is a certain set of product features that are already set. Once that has been made concrete that okay we will be working on some projects, then the product manager he comes to the design team, and the team is divided into different groups. So one group they take care of all the mobile platform, the other takes care of the web, and the third to something else. But then they are all uh, good enough to handle any task on any platform. But for the sake of process, they are divided into different groups. The moment the task comes, what we want from the product owner is give us the objective, give us the current metrics, the target metrics, and if there is any data that is there. So like that's what we need to begin the project. And you won't believe, in a quarter we work on more than 200 tasks. So it's like the number is so high that we don't even have a time for at least early half of the quarter to even sit and do anything else. So 200. So I had a connect with like multiple designers. It's like 5, 6, 10, 15, 20, but 200 is like unheard of. But yeah, that's how we do. We start, and then we define the timeline. We make sure that if there is a any of the UX methodology, methodology is required, then we bring that into the table. Otherwise, I believe that lean UX, whatever you want to use from which phase, use it and then deliver the task. uh, but then we need all the data, all the objectives, what we are chasing, everything to be on the table for the designers to start. So once that comes on the table, and like we have a healthy kickoff meeting whenever we start a project between the product owners and the designers, and there's a lead involved, there's an information architect will be there, and basis that we give them the timeline. And if it's required that we need to go out and empathize with our users, we do all kind of market research, and then come back and then we start. So once the design is, and then like that's how the process starts. Once we are done with the low fidelity wireframe, high fidelity wireframe, we review it with the internal stakeholders, PM, business, and then we create the VD, like UI design. Primarily we use Sketch. We used to use Photoshop, but Photoshop, even if we have the Photoshop, it has everything, but that is primarily for the bitmap edit. And the UI designer hardly uses 5 or 10% of the Photoshop, and now it's quite expensive now. So we move to a Sketch. Now everything is in Sketch. We have and now and then we have a Zeppelin account. We upload everything on Zeppelin for the tech or the QA to have a look at it what we are expecting. But there is a process that whenever we are sharing a screen, we also need to share and define the design, like how why we have designed all the interaction touch points, so that it will help the other guys to do it. Though it's an agile process, but I'll say it's a sprint fall. We start with agile and then it goes into waterfall model. But that's a part and parcel of all the corporate life, and the process is like different in different companies. So that's how it goes. And then once it goes into tech and the QA, and then like before the build, we get the final build for review. The good part about MagicBricks is the UX team or the and I have a say whether the build will go live or not if it doesn't meet our criteria. So that power I think I have not seen like anywhere else, to hold the build even at the last stage. And that I would give the credit to the our like CEO or the senior uh, leadership team, that okay you have that authority to at least say no to something which is not good for our end consumer. So that's how the entire process goes.
So generally, I've seen the sales team or the the business side generally governs this
Yeah,
decision. Okay, this is like they give their deadlines.
yeah,
Deadlines are
yeah,
very
yeah,
like you need to give deadlines,
yeah.
but then they have the say कि हाँ ठीक है ये minimum viable है
Sure.
इसको जाने दो.
Yeah, so I think I was quite fortunate that in MagicBricks, our CEO is quite UX driven, though he's a sales person. But then his focus is always towards the UX and like delivering very high experience to the end consumer, and that's where I think that benefit by default comes to us as a UX professionals or as a design team. So on that front, I think we are quite lucky.
So talking about the design team, then,
Mhm.
so so it's not so you said you are over a lot of people. A lot of people, a lot of designers report to you
Yeah,
of different domains,
yeah.
the different team for a different type of design.
Mhm.
But if you're working on a project,
Mhm.
and you're leading a project yourself, there's a small
Yeah,
task to be done, and you have a small team
yeah.
that gets that task done. So, what kind of team members do you have in that team?
Mhm.
What kind of personalities basically
Mhm.
you look
Mhm.
for if you're
Mhm.
making a team?
So I'll tell you the process. So I have built up a team, multiple teams, and things have worked for me. So when I'm building up a team, until the team expands till 8 or 9, I make sure that I am part of it, and I delegate, and I decide who does what. So and that builds up the trust factor, and I get to know like okay, like what are the merits, demerits, or the plus point for every like designer. What are their capacities, and so like that's how I do. So till the team size becomes 8 or 9, and generally I hire jack of all trade, master of one. So I don't hire someone who is specific to some skill set because that limits my execution.
Yeah.
So everyone who I hire in MagicBricks or even before, I make sure that okay they know each and every part of UX delivery, uh, and I can place them as and when I like there is a need.
Yeah.
So till the team becomes 8 or 9, I take care of them by myself, and then the moment it goes beyond 8, then there is a every 4 to 5 member there is one lead, and that's how it goes replicated. That's how it is like replicated. The process is like they need to design something, and because I have worked with them on the early stage, they know what is my expectation, and so but they have to get it reviewed by lead, and then it comes to me. I make sure that every screen that goes online, that at least I need to see it once,
Okay.
and I'm hands on. I sit with them, I give them constructive feedback, not the subjective. So design, the problem is it's more on the perception. So I generally tell everyone in my team and even across company, even here and before, that when you are giving some feedback as a designer to a designer, make it more constructive. Giving a feedback that it doesn't look good is not a feedback, it's an opinion.
Yeah.
So if you want to get something what you're expecting, you need to be more objective driven, you need to be more precise, and like, that's how it helps. So like that's how it is, that's how the team is divided. And currently like there are 22 professionals, UX professionals. So there are 4 or 5 teams, and then they report to lead, and then they report to me further on.
So you have said that the real fun is being closer to the user.
Yeah.
So how do you get to that point where you exactly understand what the
Mhm.
user actually needs?
So we as a UI designers or UX professionals, uh, our job or task is to build anything and everything for the users.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense if you don't know what is user pain point is, and then you create something in silo. So every task in MagicBricks that we do, or every project that we do, we make sure that we know actual pain point that a consumer has. In my team there is a dedicated team of researchers, and they have been, so when they were hired, I specifically told them they are not supposed to sit in the office for more than 7 days. For rest of the days they have to be in the market, to know the consumers, to know the users, bring the pain points, and then we will have a brainstorming session within, and then we will find out like what is the best for as a solution for them. And there are ways to find to know like what are the pain points. There are different methodology that we follow. So we do contextual inquiries where we go into their demography. We sit with them, we We are there in their environment, how they use, what they use, and then we at times we do card sorting. At times we create affinity diagram. Uh, so there are way, and like UT is a part and parcel of life. We don't decide okay when to do a UT. uh, Whenever we do a task which requires it, because we know our TG, we can pull out the users data from our database. We can call them, and then we call them in our company, in our premises, or we go to their home, because like they are mostly buyers, agents, or like builders in our case. We go to them, we interview them, and then we get out like whatever we want to. So I think being close to the users helps us helps us not to work in silo. Plus it also removes uh, our own perception about the solution. So it has to be more towards what the user need is, and that's how it helps. So when I say that you need to be closer to the like users, that's what it means. You need to know what is their pain point and then design over it.
Okay, so is this research team also designers, or they have like what basically what qualifications does a researcher have?
So it's not the qualification, but then so there are, so the researchers that we have, they are dedicated researchers, though they know Sketch and Photoshop, but they are not allowed, because the moment they start designing something, I think I have kept both the teams aside, because both of them should not interfere. One is the problem seeker, what is there in the market, and other is a problem solver. So the moment you give the power of solution to a problem seeker, I think there will be some biasness. So though the researcher needs to come and present the report to us, to the entire design team, but then I have kept a thin line that okay, they are totally different and the roles are clearly demarcated.
So now design on a whole is a pressure job. Like you
Yeah.
have a lot of opinions, a
Yeah.
lot of comments coming from every direction
Yeah. Yeah.
about different things.
Yeah.
So how would you suggest a designer to tackle such a situation
Yeah.
where a very senior person, a very senior stakeholder comes to a designer who is just 2 years or 1 year into
Yeah.
his or her job? How does he or she tackle that stakeholder?
Sure. So
So it's not about tackling. So it's about opinion versus feedback.
yeah. So it's a genuine problem, and I think it's not a problem. I think for us it's also a advantage, because everybody can give their feedback or opinion. Though there is a demarcation between feedback and opinion. Opinion is something which you may give even if you don't have that skill set, but you will give your perception. Feedback is you have some flavor of knowledge about what design is and what UX is, or even what technology is, and then you give the feedback. Though I think opinion can be taken as constructive, but even the guy or the stakeholders who are giving the opinion or the feedback, no, you can at least guide it. So what I tell my team members is, whenever they are sharing their designs, first of all, your wireframe is not a design, so don't mix your information architecture and your UI or the visual design. It needs to be presented separate, because you should not give any lever to the third party that okay, give us the feedback on off both on like either of them. So when you are presenting your wireframe or the VD or the like UI design, you need to define your design. You need to tell them okay, there is a concept behind it, because like UI design is 50% science and 50% creativity, and that you need to communicate via mail or via presentation. The moment you are able to do it, the other person will have a trust that okay, there has a thought that has gone into it, and then accordingly he will give you the feedback. Many a times there are like designers they go by gut feel. If there is a dot, there has to be a reason for it, and the designer needs to define it on paper, okay, why that dot is there. As long as I think we can do that, I don't think we can avoid the opinions, because they know that okay, this is coming from expert, so they will only give the feedback. And at the end of the day, because you have defined your design, I think the final decision will lie with you, and you need to justify it, because feedback will come, because design and content, everyone has their opinion, everyone knows how design can be improved. But as long as it is moderated, and you can have a story telling about the entire process to of reaching to that design, I think the opinions can be pushed back, and genuine feedback will come upon.
So now there are many instances where apart from designers like seasoned and professional designers like yourself, there are young designers who have around 2 or 3 years of experience, are given the leadership role, and they might be eligible, or they deserve that position. But should there be any regulation about who should lead design in the industry? And secondly, my question is, should be there a license about who should design and who should lead design in the industry?
So I have not seen generally happening the way you are saying. So at least 2-3 years, that doesn't happen. 5-6, I do agree. But that the number of years of an experience doesn't define who can be a leader. It's the quality to lead or be a leader. That's where it comes from. I personally believe at this stage, if I would have born at this stage where I am now after 19 years, I could have been here in 19 years, because the opportunities are huge. The online platform has evolved. You don't need to go through a courses or some online or some training to get the education. You can go online, you can read the things. So to your the question, to your answer, there is no certified, there should not be any certification or a metrics that who can be a leader. But yeah, if someone is showing the potential that okay, he or she can be a leader, and that I have seen in my team, after 5 or 6 years, I think they are ready now, because of the industry, the way it's shaping. And in our time, it used to take time for us to evolve. Now the evolution is happening so fast. So like I don't think there is any hard and fast rule to it, and should be. Anyone who deserves, he can be in any role anytime.
So you have done a lot of mentoring also.
Yes.
So what are the minimum required non-design things
Yeah.
that would you suggest or advise
Yeah.
to a person just graduating in design? Like, okay, look, this is the industry, this is how it is, and this is how things are going to work.
Yeah. Uh, so I'll tell specifically with respect to UX professionals. Uh, One, they need to be self-critic. We as a designer, we are different breed. We, though designing, when I say it's 50% science, 50% art, but then when we design, we are emotionally attached. I think that skin needs to go away from any designer. uh, you should not be emotionally attached. Step out, and even if you have designed, step out from it. See what works, what doesn't work. I think best is to get into the user shoe, how they will perceive your design, and that is an art that evolves as the time goes by. So if that has evolved and that answers to your previous question, who can lead. So if that art has evolved in any of the designer in, let's suppose, 3-4 years, and I think they are in a way of being a leader, or one step closer to the maturity. So like one of them is that. Second, they need to be well versed with the upcoming technology, because uh, at my home I have almost all the digital device that you can think of. uh, I have Windows, I have iOS, I have Android, and it's not that I want to have all, but in the industry where I am in, I need to have a flavor of all the aspect of the technology and the platform and the iOS and the operating system. So you need to be enriching yourself with what is coming new. Dedicate some time for reading. I spend almost 1.5 hours to 2 hours every day, and I go online and read. That's what I also communicate to all my team members, that go and read. That builds up the new perception what is happening, and that also takes away some of the need of going through online courses. Though I don't deny that it's bad, but the courses, in some way, if you go and read, those are more practical. The courses and like other things, those are more theoretical. So, and what takes time from someone becoming a designer to a matured leader is the practicality which should be there in their work. So if you go and read the things, you see the different concepts or what others are doing, that makes you a better professional. Team player. Team player is like one of them. Generally, like there is a designer has his own life, his or her own life cycle. Till the time they are 3 or 4 years of an experience, they believe that the design belongs to me, which is very wrong. Uh, if you share the design, if you explain the design to someone else, you will be a better designer because you are explaining them why and what, how of those design. So you need to be a very good team player. Don't shy away from sharing your designs with someone else and communicate between the team. That is one aspect which I look for when I hire a designer. So that is like one of the trait. If you say like apart from the design skills, then like one of them is being a team player.
So talking about hiring, then hiring a designer. So
Yeah.
you said team leader is one of the things you look at.
Yeah.
What other check boxes do you have when you're looking for a designer for your team?
Yeah. So until now, I think I have interviewed not less than 4-5 thousand designers in Canvera, in Accenture, and like even in like MagicBricks, and the like ratio, the hit rate is quite low because I'm picky on on whom to hire because I don't want to do a spoon feeding. In the current market, we hardly have any time to spoon feed and make them learn, and I don't even so one is obviously the skill set, and that goes when you are profiling whom to call for the interview. So there are 3-4 rounds of the interview, and like that's the process or every organization has. But then once they come on board, when they come for the interview, and it's like especially when they meet me, I assess them on what couple of other parameters. One of them is their attitude and the behavior. First, the eagerness to learn new, because if they are not eager to learn new, then I think as the industry is shaping up, they won't evolve as a professional. So apart from the being a very good team player, I think these are the things that I do see in the candidate. Other than that, I give them an assignment which they have to do it in front of me, and I do see the deep thinking that they have, from where they start, from where they go. Though I give them a benefit of doubt because they're in interview, and interview is a different scenario. And if I were in their place, even I would be more hesitant. I had many things going in my mind, so I give them that benefit of doubt. But then they need to come back with the healthy approach, a user-driven process, and deep thinking into that assignment, which they are doing in front of me, uh, and then come to the solution. And basis that, I either hire or like they are not fit for what we are looking for. So like that's how the process goes.
So you are a team builder, like you've been building a lot of teams. How do you build a team per se? Let's say you're given a task. Let's say you're into a company. You just joined. You're leading. You're going to lead the design here, and you know the company business model, and in basis on that, you need to build a team right now.
Uh-huh.
So how do you go about that? How do you decide that we need these number of people, these kind of people, to get this task done?
So, so the number of people, that is defined by what is the like the quantum of work that we are expected to deliver, plus size of the product or the tech team. So that has its correlation to the design team. There is no hard and fast rule to it. But then like the number of product managers, that defines like what is the number of UXers in the company. Second, when we hire someone on board, the first week is all about giving them freedom to know about the organization. I generally tend to give them a task where they have to create the task flow for the entire MB application. And once they are done, they need to also point out what is good, what is bad, or what needs improvement. Everywhere, wherever I have worked on, even here and in the past, I do ask from the management that give me a 16 by 8 whiteboard. So that guy needs to create the entire task flow and the journey scenarios on that whiteboard. And because it's on the face, everyone is looking at it, so he is quite disciplined that okay, whatever goes there, that has to have a meaning. So the progress is seen on daily basis. He is quite sincere because that's on the floor, everybody is like watching him. And then it also gives him a opportunity to know the entire system. Giving any designer a task on day one will be injustice to him, because he won't know anything, and that will put the business on stake, or the design or the product on stake. So that 7 days, 10 days breather is there with him. He is asked to go to the market and do some research. I sit with him, the leads, they sit with him. So we have our own culture here in MagicBricks that's unseen everywhere else. And then after 7-10 days, he is ready to hit the floor. He starts the project alone, and then he starts delivering. And by the time he knows how the companies work, who are the stakeholders, where to go, whom to ask, so all those things are taken care of. So these process and so they work as an icebreaker for a new joiner. So we try to make them comfortable, and in turn that also reflects on the delivery, what they give, what their output on the product, and that shows there because they know their consumer, because they have done a market research. They know the entire platform and the system or the module where they are supposed to work. So it has helped as of now, and I think I'll be keeping the same even in the future.